Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and Bill Clinton has been caught red-handed. We know of Bill Clinton's past, explorations of the world with Jeffrey Epstein. I think about 26 times on the Lolita Express, Jeffrey Epstein's sex slave plane, as well as ditching Secret Service more than a dozen times on these flights. One of these flights being with Chris Tucker and Kevin Spacey, interestingly enough. Well, we've seen all these pictures come out of Prince Andrew, which caused him to get fired from his family from whatever it was that he did. And on top of that, we have seen a lot of people go down because of Epstein. Epstein, one of the most popular trends in the world is Epstein didn't kill himself. Very few people actually accept that Epstein actually killed himself. Because it just doesn't make sense. The story doesn't come together. People have been indicted over it. Michael Baden, who did an autopsy on Epstein, also found that it was clear that it was homicide. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out of the story, including Ghislaine Maxwell possibly being in hiding, not in Brazil anymore, but in Israel as a foreign agent being protected. Possibly, a lot of people have talked about how Epstein was Mossad and how Ghislaine Maxwell worked with Epstein as a Mossad agent collecting blackmail on famous people, celebrities, politicians, bankers, businessmen, etc. Well, let's get into this recent story because this is pretty big news and not a lot of people are actually reporting on. As the article says, out of the Sun, President and the Pimp. Bill Clinton poses with Epstein's pimp, Ghislaine Maxwell, and a sex slave on board private jet, the Lolita Express. And as the article goes into, Bill Clinton poses side by side with suspected pimp Ghislaine Maxwell as the pair board pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's notorious private jet. Now, before I get into this anymore, make sure to check those links below, guys, because this is definitely going to be demonetized and they will probably shadow ban the F out of this video because it tells the truth, and independent media needs your help now more than ever. Getting back to the story, as it says, the former U.S. president is seen smiling on the steps of the plane dubbed the Lolita Express next to Maxwell in astonishing pictures exclusively obtained by The Sun. And you can see the photos here. I'll give you a moment to look at that from 2002, allegedly. As the article continues here, it says, in another image, he has his arm around Epstein's personal masseuse and sex slave, Chantae Davies, who had been ordered to wear a pilot shirt to look professional. And we'll get to that photo right away. But before that, we'll just go into the rest of this article here. It says, other never seen before images show Clinton traveling on the infamous Boeing 727 jet while playing cards and chomping on a cigar. Now, for the first time, Chantae Davies has revealed the extraordinary details of Clinton's long-distance flight to Africa with Maxwell and a number of other celebrities. The star-studded group, which included actors Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker, visited Ghana, Nigeria, Rwanda, Mozambique, Johannesburg, and Cape Town in a 5-day humanitarian trip. I'm sure it's very humanitarian, of course. As it continues here, it says, there is no suggestion Clinton, Spacey, 60, or Tucker, 48, did anything wrong during the tour or knew of Maxwell's alleged activities on Epstein's behalf or the abuse Chantae suffered at his hands. Bill Clinton was pretty good friends with Epstein, and here you can see the photo here, and we'll get into it more in a moment. But isn't it interesting that Bill Clinton also went to Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico ranch almost on a yearly basis with his family, where there was evidence of, well, this is where Jeffrey Epstein wanted to do human experiments with DNA and create clones of himself. Really creepy stuff. Had old fake saloons on his property, as well as a fake schoolhouse and an underground party lair, basically, as well as having everything equipped with cameras all over the place, as if to say we are recording everything in order to use as blackmail. Carrying on in the article here, it says, however, it will further raise concerns about how some of the world's most famous and powerful people were drawn into Epstein's circle at a time when he was committing horrific sex crimes. And there's that photo with Epstein's sex slave, Chantae Davies. And you can see this photo here with Prince Andrew, which has gone very viral and kind of got the guy fired. As it shows below the photo, Prince Andrew with his arm around sex slave Virginia Roberts. The royal also claimed he did nothing wrong after being drawn into Epstein's circle. And here's a photo of Chantae Davies in a pilot uniform in order to make herself look more professional. Carrying on here, as it says, Chantae, now 40, told The Sun, "It's clear that Epstein was using his private jet and his wealth to get close to rich and powerful people." And I quote, "Looking back at these images now, it raises a lot of questions about why Bill Clinton was using the plane and what perhaps Jeffrey may have been trying to accomplish by having him around." As it continues here, it says, sex trafficker Epstein, who killed himself, no he didn't, in his jail cell in August, was accused of using the aircraft to transport underage girls to his various luxury homes around the world. Victims of the monster say he organized orgies on board the 3-engine commercial jet. American dignitaries and rich and powerful figures, including under fire royal Prince Andrew, also regularly traveled on the plane, and you could see a photo here of Bill Clinton smoking a cigar on Epstein's airplane. Of course, again, these are new images that are coming out that are really pretty interesting to say the least, and very few news medias are actually reporting on it. You could see another image here of him on his so-called humanitarian trip to Africa. As it says, Bill Clinton was in a relaxed mood on the humanitarian trip to Africa. As it continues here, it says, no evidence has emerged to prove that Andrew or Bill Clinton took part in sexual activity on the Lolita Express, except for all the people that have come out about it. But anyway, as it continues here, it says, but Chantae, who suffered a series of rapes and sexual assaults at the hands of disgraced Wall Street tycoon Epstein, opened up about the September 2002 Africa trip for the first time. It says it was part of a project for Clinton's foundation in order to raise awareness about poverty and the AIDS crisis, and probably embezzle a bunch of money, take a bunch of charity money, and you know how the Clinton Foundation works, guys. As it continues here, it says, but it also saw pedophile Epstein and his alleged pimp Maxwell, who has always vehemently denied any wrongdoing, rubbing shoulders with America's former commander-in-chief and other A-list celebrities. Chantae, then aged 22, categorically denied that any improper behavior occurred around Clinton and that he was a complete gentleman the entire time. Maybe you're too old for him. I don't know. It continues here. The former president also previously issued a statement in regards to his travels on the plane and denied knowing anything about the financier's crimes. It said President Clinton knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein pled guilty to in Florida some years ago, or those with which he was previously been charged in New York. And I quote, in 2002 and 2003, President Clinton took a total of 4 trips on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane, 1 to Europe, 1 to Asia, and 1 to Africa, which included stops in connection with the Clinton Foundation. And I quote, staff, supporters of the foundation, and a Secret Service detail traveled on every leg of every trip. Not every trip, maybe on those ones, but a Secret Service ended up ditching him on many trips on the Lolita Express later on. As it continues here, Chantae has never accused Andrew of any wrongdoing, and Andrew himself has always denied any impropriety. Speaking on his behalf, Buckingham Palace said the Duke of York has been appalled by the recent reports of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes. Right, that's why he hung out with him after he was charged. Like, good one, guys. There was a picture with Spacey. Now this is Ghislaine Maxwell on the trip to Africa. It continues here. It says, describing how she found herself on the once-in-a-lifetime trip, Chantae revealed how she received a call from Epstein's office asking if she would come on a trip he was hosting. He gave her just a week's notice to prepare. She said, and I quote, that was all I was told, just a simple yes or no, and can I leave in a week? And I quote, meaning get all necessary shots, reschedule any existing appointments, pack a suitcase, and meet us in New York to fly to Africa. And I quote, it didn't weigh heavy on my mind, the remoteness of being on the other side of the world with Jeffrey, not knowing what to expect from him. I was praying Jeffrey wouldn't make a move on me, desperately wanting everything about this trip to be kept professional. Massage therapist Chantae, who was allegedly raped and sexually assaulted by Epstein on other trips, including at his private Caribbean island of Little St. James, was terrified of the American. At the time of the Africa trip, she had recently broke her finger and recalls that Ghislaine Maxwell, who had first recruited her into Epstein's inner circle, was unsure if she should travel. Chantae said, Ghislaine, after first convincing me I didn't want to miss out on this opportunity when I initially hesitated, had doubts I could help carry things and prepare food. And I quote, I took a commercial flight from LA to New York and then walked from that plane to Jeffrey's plane, sitting in the middle of the tarmac. And I quote, a man ushered me over and I boarded to find Sarah Kellen and 2 other assistants waiting for Jeffrey and Ghislaine's arrival, along with whoever they were hosting. And I quote, I was curious to see who my travel companions would be. I hope we got along. The man handed me a packet and suggested I look through it and become familiar with the itinerary. He gave us uniform shirts to wear, white button-downs with captain shoulder patches. I felt like a goober, but I was a good sport and put it on. And I quote, we were given a briefing on the food that was available on the plane and our flight schedule, but then we took a seat. And you could see Chris Tucker on the airplane here. And another photo of Chris Tucker on the trip. And it continues, Chantae then told how she was shocked and surprised to see the A-list guests arrive, including ex-President Bill Clinton. She said, I jumped out of my seat and was immediately aware that my travel mates had arrived, and in walks Bill Clinton. And I quote, he continued to walk onto the plane, introducing himself. I thought him to be charming and sweet. More of the guests arrived, and somehow, as the plane closed its doors, I stood looking around the room at all the new faces I just met. Chris Tucker, Kevin Spacey, and Bill, accompanied also, of course, by the Secret Service. I literally pinched myself to make sure I was alive and my pain meds for my finger weren't causing me to hallucinate. I was going to Africa with the most eclectic group of people imaginable. Our pictures also show Kevin Spacey alongside Maxwell and smiling Chris Tucker. Chantae revealed that after everyone was formally introduced, the plane took off from a New York airfield and everyone quickly began bonding. And you can see that infamous photo here of Epstein with Ghislaine Maxwell and another photo of Prince Andrew with Maxwell. And it continues here. She said it was like I was at a camp with the most unimaginable group of campers one could put together. Everyone cracked jokes at one another. Clinton was chiming in, cracking jokes along with us, and we were all laughing and bonding over corny jokes. A movie was put on. Everyone took either a seat or the giant armchairs or on the floor and watched it all together. Eventually, everyone fell asleep to the movie. The trip saw the group attend events in Ghana, Rwanda, Nigeria, Mozambique, and South Africa. On the Ghana leg of the trip, Chantae revealed she went shopping at a small wooden jewelry store and helped the former president pick out a bracelet for his daughter, Chelsea. She said, he and I were bonding over the fact that my great-uncle, Russell Cronkite, was the head chef for the Blair House, the guest house of the White House during his presidency. And I quote, he was the chef that made Chelsea's infamous pizza for her 13th birthday party. You can make any comments you want there about pizza and her 13th birthday. I'm just saying. And you could see a new photo of her here at 40 years old. It says, Clinton was a great guy on the trip. He'd sit around on the plane with a cigar in his mouth playing cards between flights. I wrote in my journal at the time that I wish he could be president again. He was charismatic and funny and kind and personable. It was obvious he cared about not just our country, but the world. He was a gracious host. Following the final leg of the trip, South Africa, Epstein's plane departed for London. Clinton and the other celebrities left. Chantae and a smaller group of people flew to Paris with Epstein. Despite the experience on the foreign visit, Chantae was haunted by her previous experiences with Epstein. She added, I felt shamed by what had been happening with Epstein, and I was doing my best acting performance to keep things looking as professional as I could. I had to cover it up for everyone. I thought it was happening only to me, and I couldn't talk about it with any other assistants. Anyway, so let's go into this a little bit. I want to note that, first of all, as that ABC News report, coming out of Project Veritas leaked, showed Amy Robach talking about 3 years ago, talking about how Epstein, the whole Epstein story was covered up. Virginia was, her story was covered up, and that the Clintons and Buckingham Palace made sure that it happened. And I should also add that Bill Clinton has been accused of over 80 examples of not just sexual assault, but rape. We've interviewed Juanita Broaddrick here on Wham twice. about her alleged rape in the 1970s when Bill Clinton was the Arkansas Attorney General. There's so many stories about Clinton, so few stories have come out about Andrew compared to Clinton, and rightly so. Andrew has been called out. He's been fired from his own family, again, as I mentioned, but like no one does anything about Bill Clinton. It's crazy. It's like Joe Biden too. It's like he can sniff kids and no one cares. It's crazy I guess the confirmation bias people have and their inclined to support one person because of politics over another regarding child rape. It just doesn't make sense. If you look at this from a political angle, then you're not a very good person. I'm sorry. We're talking about child rape here. We're talking about child sex rings. We're talking about massive pedophile rings. And remember, not only did ABC News and Disney cover up for Epstein, but also BBC covered with the Buckingham Palace, covered up for Jimmy Savile, the most notorious child predator of all time. So, I mean, this is a part of something much bigger than just a few people here. Bill Clinton flew on that jet an insane amount of times, said that he didn't really have much relations with Epstein, but obviously he did. And on top of that, stayed at Epstein's house in New Mexico on his ranch countless times after he said that he didn't really hang out with him. I mean, at what point do people go, isn't that interesting that, this guy who was president went on the airplane so many times, ended up having so many rape allegations come out against him, sexual harassment allegations. Him and Hillary tried to cover this stuff up. Hillary went after the women that came out about Bill Clinton in the 90s, threatened them, tried to get them put in mental hospitals, including Monica Lewinsky. I mean, at what point don't we go, this guy is a scumbag and is involved in massive pedophile rings and rape rings? I mean, come on. Why is Prince Andrew fired, but why is Bill Clinton still doing insane $100,000, $200,000 speeches around the world? And everyone's like, oh, well, he was a great president, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is just a perfect example about people's political bias clouding their judgment. Epstein, all these photos came out recently claiming to show Epstein dead in his cell. He broke a bone in his throat that by his Adam's apple that usually only breaks when you get strangled. He clearly didn't kill himself. And on top of that, he might not even be dead, but he clearly didn't kill himself, that's for sure. And basically, even the most skeptical people out there are saying that it's not likely that he killed himself. Even Michael Shermer of Skeptic magazine says it's debatable. I mean, it's crazy. We have been talking about Jeffrey Epstein as long as we've been on media. I first found out about him in about 2007, and I've been talking about him on social media since then, and I was called crazy for years. People wouldn't report on it. The mainstream media wouldn't report on it. And then in the 2016 elections, we really started pumping out content on it. Everyone said we were crazy and that we're speculating, and now more and more comes out all the time, proving what we were talking about for so long, that he was an agent of either Mossad, CIA, FBI, in order to set up powerful people. There's evidence back in 2016 that there was a camera on his airplane recording in the bedroom of powerful people molesting underage girls. How else do you think they get politicians, so many of them, to toe the line on so many horrific things? And so many celebrities are tied in. So many politicians are tied in. I mean, Chuck Schumer got a bunch of money from Epstein. Now, guilt by association doesn't mean much, but with that said, it should all be looked very carefully into. And obviously, Ricky Gervais just the other day at the Golden Globe Awards made a comment about how Epstein didn't kill himself after a bunch of celebrities groaned. He's like, I don't care I know he was your friend, but, and made jokes about it. I appreciate Ricky Gervais going out of his way and saying things like that because it spreads more awareness, because the news cycle keeps trying to push Epstein away as much as possible. And we can't allow that to happen. We need to keep calling this out. Imagine they decided either kill Epstein and make it obvious that they killed him, because everyone was joking about how he's probably going to get Clinton soon, or let him be alive and testify. They figured that him testifying was worse than him dying and being obviously killed. So they went with that. It tells you a lot about what he could have said. Now, there's still a lot of stuff on Maxwell that will be coming out soon, I'm sure. She's under investigation, though she's been missing and being hidden from the FBI, from what I've seen. And there's a lot of reports that she's in Israel right now, hiding away. But anyway, there's so much into this story. It's so extensive. Jeffrey Epstein's own brother said recently that he didn't kill himself, that it was murder, and that he was innocent, actually, which is interesting. And there's all these people that have come out about being used as sex slaves by Jeffrey Epstein. This one girl says that Bill Clinton was a gentleman. Maybe he didn't rape her. He can't rape everyone, right? I mean, like, I don't know. It's just frustrating because it's so sick, and the media's cover this stuff up, and us in independent media try to talk about it as we have for years, and we're trying to protect people from this sex ring. And what happens? We get called crazy, we get shadow banned, we get demonetized, we get pushed out of the way. Julian Assange is still in prison, Chelsea Manning's in prison, mainstream media is propped up on YouTube. We all get demonetized in independent media. This shows where the priorities lie among the elite, and what are we going to do about it? Helping independent media helps a lot. Check those links below. Join us on float.app, that's flote.app. Join us on all these other platforms, BitChute as well as Minds, and check those links. Buy a t-shirt. We have Epstein Didn't Kill Himself t-shirts. Check out our All the Sayings t-shirt on our Teespring store. This video has gone too long already, so I appreciate everyone joining us, but let's keep calling out these rats and shoo them out, and hopefully we can catch them. Anyway, again, write in the comments, Epstein didn't kill himself. It'll help with the algorithm. Make sure to press like on this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys soon. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, Wham! Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely, extremely appreciated as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we can defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a patron. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on flote.app, that's flote.app, at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at Wham, W-A-M. Flote.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Flote and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. And finally, don't forget to join us at Anarchapulco 2020, the famous event, the best liberty event known to mankind, other than perhaps Anarcho Vegas 2020. There are 2 major events coming up that we are extremely excited about, and you can use promo code WHAM, that's W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to these legendary conferences. There's so many amazing people speaking there. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.